Good afternoon. This is the 1 p.m. news from Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa. First, the news headlines. Federal government appeals to judicial workers to suspend strike. President Buhari welcomes Ramadan, urges citizens to remember the poor and IDPs. On the foreign scene, ECOWAS Parliament vows to end extortions at border posts in West Africa. In sports, Edo top medal table as special sports track field events wrap up at National Sports Festival. Those are the headlines, now the news in detail. The federal government has appealed to the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, to suspend its nationwide industrial action, which had paralyzed activities in courts across the country. The union had on April 6th embarked on nationwide strike to protest non-implementation of the financial autonomy of the nation's judiciary. Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, made the appeal at a reconciliatory meeting between the federal government and the leadership of the union in Abuja. Ngige reminded the striking judicial workers that, like doctors and nurses, they were on essential duties and should not go on strike. According to him, the country cannot make progress economically and socially when the laws of the country are not enforced. He appealed to the striking judicial workers to resume work so that when the judicial officers returned from Easter holidays, they would not meet the strike. The president of JUSUN, Mr. Marwan Adamu, said that the union was guided by the constitution of the country in its action, stressing that democracy had to thrive on the rule of law. Now, former President Goodluck Jonathan has said that the judiciary should not be allowed to select those who should occupy political offices in the country. He insisted that the ballot papers should be the sole determinant of who should occupy political office and who should not. He said if a candidate who wins an election is found wanting, that election should be annulled and fresh one conducted to determine a clear and unencumbered winner. Jonathan made these assertions at a parley with youths and women under the auspices of TOS Foundation, Youths and Women for Good Governance Initiative. The immediate past president lamented that elections in Nigeria are fraught with violence, a situation that pushes candidates to seek judicial intervention to determine who should hold the particular office.
Each panel is expected to review the performance of the institutions assigned in the areas of governance, academic standards, quality assurance, management of finances, and the relationship between the management on the one hand and the staff and students on the other.
The unions are intended to focus on the welfare of their members. When unions begin to take so much interest in who gets appointed, they made recommendations of people that they wanted to be appointed, and also, yes, there is an enabling act that specifies conditions, and as a government, we have tried to comply with those.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has said that the issue of local government autonomy is not for the National Assembly to address. Gbajabiamila said this during a two-day leadership capacity training organized by the minority leader of the House, Mr. Ndudi Elumelu, for ward councillors from Delta in Abuja. He said that since the process of constitutional amendment was ongoing and the areas of possible amendments thrown open, it was for Nigerians to decide whether to have local government autonomy or not. The Speaker, however, said that as responsible lawmakers in the 9th Assembly, they would continue to do all that was in the overall interest of Nigerians.
The system we have in place now, with an overemphasis on the centralized policy planning and implementation at the federal government level, has not served us well. We have an obligation to try as much as we can to change the status quo in favor of an alternative that serves present needs and meets future expectations. At the same time, there is an evident need to improve the capacity of those who serve as local government administration across the country.
If in the next 20 years, like our UK has pronounced, that green energy will very soon take place, there will be no longer fuel motor vehicle but electric vehicle. It now means that for us to harness what will be available by the time the PIB is passed, we need quality leaders who will understand how we can effectively manage our resources.
Minister of Education Malam Adamu has inaugurated the visitation panels of 25 federal polytechnics and 21 colleges of education in the country. Adamu, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Mr. Sonny Echono, inaugurated the panels in Abuja, urged them to adhere strictly to the terms of reference of their service. He said that the visitation panel would ascertain the extent to which the institutions were mandated to carry out their functions. Adamu said that the panel's activities would cover a period of 10 years between 2010 and 2020, which would also be expected to present 2 reports covering 2010 to 2015 and 2016 to 2020. According to him, each panel will have an academic, financial expert, and someone with knowledge of the law and other instruments. He said that the panels will also look into the financial management of the institutions over the recommended period, whether it was in accordance with the budget regulations.
Each panel is expected to review the performance of the institutions assigned in the areas of governance, academic standards, quality assurance, management of finances, and the relationship between the management on the one hand and the staff and students on the other.
The unions are intended to focus on the welfare of their members. When unions begin to take so much interest in who gets appointed, they made recommendations of people that they wanted to be appointed, and also, yes, there is an enabling act that specifies conditions, and as a government, we have tried to comply with those.
President Muhammadu Buhari has welcomed the beginning of Muslims' holy month of Ramadan, which marks the commencement of 30 days of fasting. In a message to the nation to mark the occasion, President Buhari prayed to Allah to accept their sacrifices and increase the unity, solidarity, peace and prosperity of the nation. He urged Muslims in the country to exercise patience and tolerance and reject voices that seek to divide the nation. He also urged all citizens to show compassion to the millions of the less endowed and remember those that have been displaced by conflict in their charity and prayers in this important period. In a similar vein, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has urged the Muslim Ummah to stress messages of peace, love and national unity as the holy month of Ramadan begins across the Islamic world. Lawan, in a statement, urged them to remember the holy month as a period of fasting, sober reflection, self-discipline and sacrifice. You're still listening to the news on Splash 105.5 FM. Now turning to the foreign scene. The ECOWAS Parliament has pledged intervention to end extortion of citizens of the sub-region at border posts by security operatives in ECOWAS countries. The Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Mr. Sidi Tunis, made the pledge at Bajake in Bome County in Liberia. He was on an oversight visit to some communities at the county on entering Liberia from the Sierra Leone border. The major complaint of the ECOWAS citizens at the border town of Bajake centered on extortion by immigration officials each time citizens tried to cross the border between Sierra Leone and Liberia to trade. Tunis pledged that the parliament would intervene to end the problem, saying that he planned to first and engage with relevant authorities in Liberia and other West African countries. The speaker noted that in line with the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of persons and goods to foster integration, ECOWAS citizens should be able to move freely within the sub-region without any form of harassment. At least 34 people have drowned after a boat capsized off the coast of Djibouti. The International Organization for Migration said that the boat operated by people smugglers was carrying about 60 migrants escaping conflict in Yemen and who were on their way to Djibouti. The organizations have expressed concern over the tens of thousands of young African migrants making the dangerous journey from the Horn of Africa to the Gulf states in search of work. It said COVID-19 has forced many to return to their countries because many borders had been closed because of the pandemic. The IOM said thousands are trapped in Yemen, many living in dangerous conditions and were being forced to pay smugglers to get back home. Now, the government in Botswana has stopped vaccination in some regions, saying doses allocated to them have been depleted. The country has so far vaccinated 17,808 people, according to data from the Health Ministry. People in those regions have been advised to wait for the next shipment. The government listed 7 areas that will be affected. Botswana has 40,998 coronavirus cases, including 663 deaths, according to the Health Ministry. And finally, in sports, Edo, host of the ongoing National Sports Festival, NSF, tagged Edo 2020, topped the medals table on conclusion of the special sports track and field event today. At the end of the event, a total of 45 medals, comprised of 16 gold, 16 silver, and 16 bronze, were won. Edo clinched the highest medals, winning 5 gold, 7 silver, and 3 bronze, closely followed by Lagos State, who occupied the second position with 5 gold, 4 silver, and a bronze medal. Delta and Rivers came next with 3 gold, 1 silver, 6 bronze, and 1 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze medals. Ogun State won 2 silver and 3 bronze medals, while Nasarawa came first from bottom, winning a silver medal. The festival would be rounded off on Wednesday with Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo expected to give the closing remarks. Now, Aston Villa winger Trezeguet will have surgery on a knee injury he sustained in Saturday's 2-1 defeat in Liverpool. The Egypt forward suffered ligament damage and was substituted in the 82nd minute at Anfield. Trezeguet, who joined Villa in 2019, has scored 2 goals in 2020 in 22 appearances for Dean Smith's side this season. When asked about the injury after the match on Saturday, Smith said he tried to carry on, but unfortunately didn't feel great, so had to come off. Just before we go, a recap of the headlines. Federal government has appealed to judicial workers to suspend strike. President Buhari has welcomed Ramadan, urged citizens to remember the poor and IDPs. ECOWAS Parliament has vowed to end extortions at border posts in West Africa. The Edo top medal table as special sports track, field and events wrap up at National Sports Festival. For more details on the news, visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download the Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates, opinion poll, and also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5, then click to download. We have now come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the integrity station and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawu, assisted by Abidemi Kajogbola. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.
Quick, charge at 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more on the Integrity Station. We educate, that's why we are respected. We inform, that's why we are loved. More music, we are the best. The Integrity Station. Splash, splash.
105.5.
We've got the city on lockdown.
Got my own city that I hold down.
We are Splash 105.